that is ours in and through Christ Jesus. May we realize and experience the freedom that we have in that name. So, Father, have your way today. Come and speak to us and pray for your name. Amen. If you have your Bibles, I invite you to turn to Job chapter 42, where we're going to be camping out for a little while this morning. Job chapter 42. If you didn't bring a Bible, you can grab one of those in front of you. Page 383 if you're grabbing one of the KWC Bibles. As we continue our series called Strugglesville, where we've been looking at the book of Job and following along his life and his story, and a powerful story at that. And when I say story, I just want to make sure that we understand. I understand, but make sure you understand. That when I say story, I'm not saying story as in once upon a time. I'm saying story as in this is what happened to a real man that went through a lot of real struggles, and that can speak to you and I, and we can gain some wisdom and some help from God's Word. And so as we take a look, just a quick overview in case you haven't been here, or maybe just need a little bit of a reminder. We'll take a look at the book of Job, kind of break it into sections. Chapters 1 and 2, Job finds himself in Strugglesville. He starts out, beginning of chapter 1, Job is doing awesome. He's a good guy and he's a godly guy. Things are great for Job. And then things very quickly turn downhill, and they go downhill fast and far. And Job enters into a Strugglesville probably like none other has experienced. I don't really like to get in the comparison games. I got worse than you, or they got worse than me, and things like that. But I think it would be hard to argue that there would be somebody that has experienced more pain and anguish than what Job goes through. And yet Job praises God and says, you know what, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away, blessed be the name of the Lord. And then Job continues, though, and Strugglesville doesn't just go away. How many of you experience that? You know that. Like you go through a bad time and it doesn't end. Chapters 3 through 37, Strugglesville continues for Job. And his friends come and they're trying to cheer him up initially, but then they end up giving a lot of bad advice. They're not really helpful. And we talked about that last week, how we can be better friends, how to friend in Strugglesville. Don't raise your hand, but do any of you know what it's like to have friends that just give bad advice? Just don't understand when maybe you're going through a struggle. It's kind of like the dad that, you fall down and you get hurt and they rub some dirt on it. Okay, thanks. That'll make it feel better. Or suck it up, buttercup. It was just that easy, okay? I have a friend of mine that was telling me several months ago that whenever he finds himself in need of some direction, he needs some advice, needs some help, he's got a couple different people that'll ask, and he told me one of them, a mutual friend. He said, I'll ask him, and I'll ask this other person, or maybe somebody else, but when I ask this person and they tell me what to do, I just do the opposite. I sure hope he's not, I'm glad he told me who he was talking about, that it wasn't me. Because once in a while, he'll ask me for advice, do you just do the opposite of what I told you to do? You just do the opposite. Yeah, because I watched him, and I see him in situations, and when he does what he thinks is best, it doesn't usually work out that well, and so I just ask him, and whatever he says, I do the opposite. Okay, not sure what kind of friend either one of them are. Maybe you shouldn't ask for his advice. But anyway, Job finds himself in Strugglesville with his friends, and they're discussing it. We talked about that last week, and we'll come back to his friends actually a little bit more today. And then in chapters 38 through 42, God and Job have a little chat throughout the struggle. And as we talked about in week 2, we go through physical struggle or some kind of other struggle. We will often experience the spiritual struggle along with that. And Job went through a season where there was some doubt. He was doubting maybe the goodness of God. Kind of accusing God for being unfair. Saying, God, you're ruthless. You're just a big meanie. And so God and Job have this chat and they work things out, and God helps Job to understand a little bit more of the situation. They set things straight, and as we come to the end of chapter 2, we see that it's goodbye Strugglesville. Job is leaving. He's better now, but there's some things that need to happen truly before Job can leave Strugglesville. It's not about getting his stuff back. It's not about getting more children and things along that line. And we'll look at next week and kind of the happily ever after. But we'll also address how there are times when in our life it doesn't end happily ever after. Then what? And so we'll take a look at that next week as part of the service, but we'll also have a great time of celebration. But we'll see as Job is about to find out and his friends are about to find out that you can't truly leave Strugglesville if you won't leave your baggage behind. There's baggage that we pick up in Strugglesville. Most often the baggage that we pick up in Strugglesville is related to relationships. And God cares deeply about relationships. After the Lord had said these things to Job, so here we go, chapter 42, verse 7. He said to Eliphaz, the Temanite. And why does he say to Eliphaz? How many friends said something to Job? 3, 4. Watch it. Here we go. Ready? After the Lord had said these things to Job, he said to Eliphaz the Temanite, I am angry with you and your 2 friends. Now some of you are going, Pastor Len, you just said 4. How come I'm doing the math? He's talking to Eliphaz. Eliphaz and your 2 friends. 1 and 2 equals... Even with the fuzzy math that they're teaching these days, right? 1 plus 2 equals 3. You're saying, well, what gives? Well, God doesn't, and we'll see it a little bit as we follow along. There's Elihu who speaks last. So like in chapters, I think 35, 36, and 37, somewhere along that line, he finally speaks. He's the youngest of the 4. He's been sitting back. He's been very wise, by the way, for especially being the youngest one. He just sits back and he watches everything else unfold, and he's listening to the 3 friends address Job. He's listening to Job, and he says, you know, here's my thoughts. I bit my tongue. I held back all this time. Let me just tell you what I think. Here's my 2 cents, and he gives a little bit more, in my opinion, than 2 cents. And God doesn't seem to have a problem with him, but he does address Eliphaz and the other 2. He says, I am angry with you and your 2 friends because you have not spoken the truth about me as my servant Job has. I want us to pay attention to what God is saying about Job. He says, my servant, and we see it here once in verse 7. We're going to see it a handful more times as we go into verse 8. And what God is doing is God is just saying, you guys were giving Job a bad time. You were trashing Job. You were trashing his integrity, attacking his integrity, and saying he must have all this sin in his life. And I want you to know he's my servant. He's mine. I claim him. And you guys messed with him. And now we need to have a little talk. So verse 8, so now take 7 bulls and 7 rams. I highlighted this because the consequences are rather significant. If we go back into like Leviticus, you look at like Leviticus chapter 16, just for one example. When there was sin, it was like maybe 1 ram, 1 goat, one bull, 1 lamb. Once in a while it was like 2 goats. Once in a while God would say, for this there needs to be kind of a combination. We're going to do 2 bulls and 2 goats. And God said, this is significant. There's some consequences here. You didn't represent me well. You did not speak truth of me. And when you didn't speak truth of me, you didn't just trash me, but you hurt my servant. So 7 bulls and 7 rams, and go to my servant Job and sacrifice a burnt offering for yourselves. My servant Job will pray for you, and I will accept his prayer and not deal with you according to your folly. You have not spoken the truth about me, as my servant Job has. So Eliphaz the Temanite, here we go, Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite. So there's the 3. Eli, who's not listed. They did what the Lord told them, and the Lord accepted Job's prayer. After Job had prayed for his friends, the Lord restored his fortunes and gave him twice as much as he had before. After. To really leave Strugglesville, Job had to let go of the baggage. He had to leave the baggage behind in Strugglesville, and so did his friends. Because again, relationships are very important to the Lord. We see what Jesus says in Matthew chapter 5, verses 23 and 24. Therefore, if you are offering your gift at the altar and there remember that your brother has something against you, leave your gift there in front of the altar. First, go and be reconciled to your brother. Then come and offer your gift. And so what I want to do this morning is look at 2 different sides of the coin. There's times when we've hurt others, and so we'll see, in essence, what the friends needed to do. To be able to leave Strugglesville, to be able to take care of the baggage that had been picked up along the way. And then we'll also look at when others have hurt us and how to leave that baggage behind so we can leave Strugglesville. So when you've hurt others, we're going to give you 4 things, and I'm going to put them 2 at a time on the screen, and we'll kind of address them individually though. Number 1, admit to specific actions and attitudes. Admit to specific actions and attitudes. It's not something like this. If I did anything to hurt you, that's kind of like saying, I might be open, I don't know. Usually we have a pretty good idea when we cause hurt, right? I'm sorry that I said what I said. I should never have said that. I'm sorry that I said what I said in the tone in which I used. I shouldn't use that tone with you. I'm sorry. I know when I did this, that broke trust. I'm sorry. I know when I'm sorry. We address specific actions and attitudes. We don't come at it like, I'm sorry you feel the way, that way, I'm sorry you feel the way and that your feelings got hurt. It's almost like we're saying, I'm sorry you feel that way and you got your feelings hurt, you big baby. I'm sorry you hurt, that I hurt your feelings. I'm sorry that you took offense with that. Are you sorry that they took offense with that, or are you sorry that you caused the offense? 2 very different things. Correct? And if we really want to see relationships restored, if we want to really see baggage left behind and we be able to move out of Strugglesville, we've got to be able to really have the heart that says, I'm not just sorry that they took offense, I'm sorry that I caused the offense. And whatever I need to do to reconcile that, I will own. And so we acknowledge, we admit specific actions and attitudes. Second of all, you see on there, don't make excuses. Don't make excuses. I understand this. I'm guilty of this, okay? I like to make excuses. When I don't treat my wife or my daughter right, I like to make excuses. had a rough day, or this or that, or, I didn't get enough sleep. I like to make, and all of those can be very true, right? All of those can be very true. And when you don't sleep, are you a little bit more easily aggravated and you don't always say the things you would like to say it the way you would like to say it? But we give ourselves a cop-out when we do that. And whether we have an excuse or not, we still caused hurt. And so it's almost like we're trying to minimize that hurt that we've caused. It's, well, you shouldn't really be that upset or that offended or whatever because of these circumstances. Just own it. Don't make excuses. Maybe you have excuses. We all have it. But don't use those because it's not going to help reconcile the relationship. 3 and 4. When you've hurt others, accept the consequences. We go back to the friends. 7 bulls, 7 rams. Like, here's the consequences. Sometimes the consequences are steep. When we mess up in a relationship, sometimes the consequences are very steep. Sometimes when we mess up on our relationship with the Lord, yes, He forgives, but there are still consequences for our sin. You understand that, right? Forgiveness is there, but there are still consequences. And we just accept those consequences. You don't try to think, I heard about somebody, I'm not going to name names. They're not here anyway, so you just think, well, who's not here? A guy got pulled over for speeding, and he started crying. And he got out of the ticket. Oh, man. They're just writing about things, A grown man crying about getting pulled over by a cop. That's a little rough, but, just accept the consequences. Were you speeding? Occasionally, my foot gets a little heavy. If I get pulled over, guess what? I'm sorry, officer. I deserve it. Okay. Now, I haven't always done that. I've made excuses before. We got out of school. I was already out of school, officer. I was doing 40 in a school zone when I was in high school. Driving my boss's 1-ton dump truck. Talking about hauling. Going through the speed zone, and he pulls me out like, that was a school zone. Well, I go to school there. I'm the last one out of that school. We had staggered hours. I'm the last one out of there. I've been already been home. I changed, been to work, and got a load, and I'm headed out to the dump. I figured, maybe the lights weren't working or whatever. Maybe they were nothing. He let me off. Shame on him. I can say that now. We just need to accept the consequences. We don't try to bargain. Just, okay, I understand. That's how it is. And we move on. Number 4, change your behavior. This is huge. So important. I think one of the best ways that we can really let people know that we're sorry, that we said something, that we used the wrong tone, that we did something is what? Not do it again. That's one of the greatest ways that you can show that you were truly sorry. Don't do it again. I was sorry. Okay, I'm going to try not to do that again. Because I really don't want to hurt our relationship. I really don't want to cause you pain. So I'm going to do it the best that I can to not do that again. So let's move on. When we have been hurt, when we are in Job's position and others have hurt us, how do we respond then? And Job certainly had been hurt. His friends had attacked his integrity. They had called him all kinds of names about being a sinner and made all kinds of insinuations about his character. Somebody that Scripture had, as we started the story, talking about how Job was blameless and upright, how he feared God and shunned evil. And these friends that should have known him better than anybody else, but they're like, you got all these bad things happening. There must be a reason all these bad things are happening. All these bad things are happening because, you're a bad guy. And so wow. They are flinging dirt left and right, flinging mud left and right, attacking his integrity. But not only do they attack his integrity, they also attack his intelligence. Job chapter 22, 5 through 11. Job chapter 11, verse 12. But a witless man can no more become wise than a wild donkey's colt can be born a man. Now that's an awesome cut in their day. In our day we're going, huh? Do you think of the best, you're so dumb, you feel that the best one-liners that you come up with, that you've heard, that's what these guys are basically saying to them. You're so dumb you walk into an antique store and say, what's new? And I won't say, okay, I will. Some of you going, I don't get it. Do you want me to go a little slower? No. They insult his integrity, attack his integrity, but they also attack his intelligence. Maybe you've had things said about you. It's bad enough when they're true. When they're untrue and your character is being maligned. These things, that's real hurt, right? We grew up with a little saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me, and we all know that that's garbage. We know some of our greatest hurts that come from something that's been said. That words cut like a knife. And they've attacked his integrity, and they've attacked his intelligence. And I don't know anybody that likes either one of those. Forget about both of those. But when you've been attacked like that, there's significant hurt. There's baggage there that needs to be addressed. And so how do we do that? When others have hurt you, I'm going to give you two things. Here's the first one. Pray for them. Pray for them. In Matthew chapter 5, Jesus says, pray for those who persecute you. He says, you've heard. Love your neighbors and hate your enemies. But I tell you, pray for those who persecute you. Pray for them. I've told you a little bit before about my dislike for country music. But once in a while, I'm in a place where I hear some country music. Several years ago, I was going in to play a little basketball at the elementary school, and the former janitor that worked the night shift would play country music. And so on my way back to the gym and on my way out from the gym, I would hear country music. And as I was going in one day, a line caught my attention. It said, I'll pray for you. Sounds interesting. So I did a little checking, looked it up a little bit, and kind of caught some of the lines as I was walking back, getting ready to play basketball. And I'll share it with you. By Jeremy and the Long Road to Love. I haven't been in church since I don't remember when. Things were going great till they fell apart again. Strugglesville. So I listened to the preacher as he told me what to do. He said, you can't go hating others who have done wrong to you. That's some good preaching. Sometimes we get angry, but we must not condemn. Let the good word do his job, and you just pray for them. Wow. Now that's a country song I can get behind. If he had just stopped there. Here's what he prays. I pray for you. I pray your brakes go out running down the hill. I pray the flower pot falls from a windowsill and knocks you in the head like I'd like to. In Jesus' name. I pray your birthday comes and nobody calls. I pray you're flying high when your engine stalls. I pray all your dreams never come true. Just know wherever you are, honey, I pray for you. Okay, so just so we're clear, when I say pray for them, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not saying, Lord, smash them. Lord, hurt them. Lord, get them where it counts. Lord, bless them. In that blessing, Lord, help them to really see you. Help them to know you. You can pray, Lord, help them to see the error of their ways. If the heart is right, because most likely, if they've hurt you, it's quite possible that they have hurt or will hurt someone else. And so you want the best for others as well. And so Lord, help them to see the error of their ways, that the way they use their words, or the way the different actions and different choices that they make, how those do hurt other people. Lord, help them to see that. Lord, work in them by your Spirit. Completely okay, in my opinion, to pray things like that. In fact, I would encourage you to pray things like that. Pray for them. And as you pray for them, I think maybe the Lord will give you even a greater heart for them. Maybe an ability to see them in a different light than just through the lens of your pain and your past experience. But to see them as God sees you. With a love that says, I forgive them. And so the second thing, first is pray for them. Second is forgive. Colossians 3:13, bear with each other and forgive whatever grievances you may have against one another. Forgive as the Lord forgave you. Forgive. What forgiveness is not, just so we're clear. Forgiveness is not minimizing the hurt. It's not minimizing the hurt. It's not saying, oh, it's not a big deal. If we're going to really leave the baggage behind in Strugglesville, it's best to call it what it is. If it was significant hurt, it's significant hurt. Okay, it's not a big deal, because in the end, it's really, really hard to lie to ourselves. Our hearts know when we've been hurt. And if we don't recognize it and call it for what it is and say, no, there was hurt. Somebody comes and says, I'm sorry, I should never have said that. Or I shouldn't have said it the way that I did. Or I shouldn't have done that. That's no big deal. No, it was a big deal. You can reply by saying, that did really hurt. That did really sting. I appreciate that you're coming to me now and saying what you're saying, because it did really hurt. And I really struggle with that. And I'm still kind of working through that. It's not about minimizing it. I think we do a disservice to ourselves and we do a disservice to them when we say, no big deal. Because then they might not really catch the gravity of it and think that, well, it's not really that big of a deal. Maybe I can just continue on in that kind of behavior. I can continue to say those kind of things. I can continue to use that tone of voice. I can continue to do those kind of things. So don't minimize it. Forgiveness is not minimizing it. Forgiveness is also not saying that there's automatic restoration to the relationship the way that it was. Forgiveness is not just an automatic, hey, we go back to where we were. Sometimes you have to rebuild trust. You have to rebuild that relationship. There's some more restoration that takes place. You've forgiven them, but it doesn't mean that there's things are just like they were. Forgiveness is also not forgetting. Well, I keep thinking about it, it comes to my mind. So does that mean I haven't truly forgiven them? If somebody could figure this out, that would be great, but to my knowledge, we haven't learned how to forget the things that we probably should forget or would like to forget. We can only forget the things that we probably shouldn't forget. Like our anniversary or something along that line. We can't forget. I don't know, at least I haven't been able to find a way to do that. Somebody years ago gave some wonderful insight that I'd like to share. With some of you, it'll be sharing it again. We can't forget, but we can choose to not watch the reruns. You with me? Some of us, we love those reruns. And we just sit, pull out the popcorn, and we'll pull other friends. Man, remember that time when they said this, and blah, 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 blah. They were so mean, and they were so rude, and blah, 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 blah. And we just have a pity party, and we replay things, and we never let that wound heal because we're continuing to watch the reruns. And we have this little way about things when we watch the reruns, we kind of embellish, and the hurt is even more significant. And when we watch the reruns, and the more and more that we watch it, we kind of maybe forget our part in the situation and don't own up to even what we may have done. Not that we always, not that there's always both people have had a part in something, but oftentimes there is. And we watch the reruns and we just remember what they did bad, and we don't think of anything that we should have done differently. So we can't forget. I haven't found that it's humanly possible to truly forget. But I have found that if I choose not to watch the replays, I choose to say, no, Lord, I'm not going to focus on that. I don't want to do that. I'm not going to play that through my mind again. I'm going to train my brain to shift to something else. That wound is able to heal. It's not that scab that I'm just playing at and hoping and making things worse. You see, forgiveness is so vital to getting out of Strugglesville. Years ago, I heard a speaker named Bay Forrest at a teen camp, and he was talking about hunting for monkeys in Africa. He spent some time in a fabulous story. You can Google Bay Forrest sometime. Fabulous story. Bay went to college, was a high draft pick in the NBA. He played college ball. I think he's about 6'9", and back in the day when he was playing in the 70s, early 70s or so, he was tall, he was athletic, great ball player. Played for the Phoenix Suns, got dunked on by Dr. J. Anybody know who Dr. J is? So he had these little player cards that he would show. He'd put it up on the big screen or whatever. His player card, I think his rookie year, was him getting dunked on by Dr. J. He was like, that's awesome. But Bay spent some time in Africa as a missionary. And he talked about how, at least in that part of Africa, that they would hunt for monkeys by setting out like a gourd. They would hollow out the gourd, put a little hole in it, and attach it to like a rope or a chain, and then attach the other side of that rope or chain to a tree. And they would put like some nuts or something like that in that gourd, and the monkey would come along and he would reach its hand into the gourd, grab up a handful of nuts or whatever else, berries or something like that, and grab that, and then when they would try to pull it out, the hand was too big to come out. And instead of just letting go of those berries or the nuts or whatever they had placed in the gourd, the monkey would just continue to wrestle with that, continue to struggle with that until he was captured. I'd like to make a little bit of an adjustment on that. Sometimes we go through life and we get an injury, we get a hurt, and now we've got the boxing gloves on. We want them to pay for the damage that they've done, but we don't realize that when we went to put on that boxing glove, we actually put our hand into a jar, and now we can't get that out, and we're stuck. We're stuck in Strugglesville. Because there was hurt. We didn't cause the hurt, somebody else caused the hurt. But instead of releasing that, instead of forgiving them, we want to say, no, not until I make them pay. Not until they understand what they really did to me. No, I'm not letting go. But yet that's exactly what we have to do to find freedom. And to truly be able to leave Strugglesville. After Job had prayed for me, after Job had said, okay, God, I'm releasing, I'm letting go, they're yours. And whatever you feel right, you said 7 bulls, 7 rams, okay, I'm letting go. They're yours. This is in the past. Let's move on. And we see in Job chapter 42 that God restored Job's relationships. Bigger picture than just Job having his animals, getting more animals back in his life, that his relationships were restored. Because I think if we were to ask anybody here, if you could have all these houses and all this property and lots of great cars, but no relationships, life's pretty empty without relationships. So we need to learn. We need to learn how we can truly be reconciled to those that we caused hurt, at least on our end, the things that we can do, the things that we should do, and how we can pray and forgive those who have caused hurt, so we can release that, so that we can exit Strugglesville. We invite our praise team to make their way forward, as well as our ushers. And as the ushers are coming forward, as the praise team's making their way forward, here's what I would ask of you. By no means do you have to do this, but it might be helpful to take out the blue paper there in front of you. And I'm not going to ask you to write down a name or anything like that, but maybe there's somebody and God has just said, and here's the thing, don't go digging to try to come up with somebody. If there's somebody that you need to forgive and you just know like that, if you would just write something on that blue paper that would indicate it's just between you and God. Here's what I'm not looking for names. Do not write their name on there. But you just write something that just for you, between you and God, you're just saying, it's your way of saying, God, I'm letting this go. That as the ushers receive this morning's tithes and offerings, that in part, your offering to the Lord today is to say, God, I'm letting go of this. I'm releasing this to you. I'm giving it to you. I'm choosing, by the grace of God, to forgive them. But they didn't ask me. So, forgive them anyway. They don't deserve it. Forgive them anyway. Do you deserve forgiveness? Do I deserve forgiveness? Absolutely not. But yet God offers that. And so, whatever would be helpful for you, if that, I'd like to say a name, not a name, but just something that would indicate that hurt, or maybe you need to write on there, I know I hurt somebody, and God, as I place this piece of paper in the offering plate today, that is my commitment to you, that I will do what I need to do. I'll follow these 4 things, or whatever else you would tell me to do. I'll do what I need to do to make things right, at least on my end. So, Heavenly Father, thank you, Lord, for your grace and your forgiveness. The example has been set, not just from the book of Job, but from Genesis to Revelation. You have demonstrated extreme patience, forgiveness, and the importance of relationships and getting them right. And so, Lord, help us to get relationships right, where we've caused hurt to others, to own that, to take the steps necessary to reconcile. Lord, where we've been hurt, to pray for them, to truly seek their good, and to release them, and to release that hurt into your hands. Receive this morning's tithes and offerings, and pray in and for your name.